We need solutions, and the Build Back Better plan has the solutions that we need.
In terms of like the superseding hierarchies of like consideration, Kyrsten Sinema is a ghoul, okay? A f***ing phantom, a specter in Washington. And being followed into a bathroom, the harm that this does is incomparable compared to the harm that she does with her shenanigans. Kyrsten Sinema, how do we feel about her? Girl boss, confident, colorful outfits, first bisexual in Congress, I think. I don't know. Oh, you don't like her? What are you, sexist? I haven't been engaging much in the rigmarole of electoral politics right now for a few reasons. First of all, for the past 3 days I've been sick. And also, it's f***ing boring. Sorry. So here's the roundup as I understand it, okay? Everything is dumb and stupid. We have the whole government's going to shut down because we don't want to raise the debt ceiling, but then they raise the debt ceiling, or have they not? Yeah, I don't know. They always do eventually. It's just a matter of how long it takes them, because the government literally can't function without the debt ceiling being raised, and the debt ceiling has to be raised, and they blame the president, but the president is only fulfilling the budget that was actually signed by Congress, so Congress gets to blame the president, and it's stupid. So that very fun and very necessary political shit keeps going on. We also have the infrastructure bill, which is more in line with what I wanted to talk about here. So here we have known outlet for journalistic credibility, the Daily Mail. Bill Maher defends Manchin and Sinema. Remember when Maher was like cutting? Remember what it was like to be cutting? From furious progressives saying they might have their thumb on the pulse of the average Democrat, slams Congress for playing chicken with shutdown deadline. Maher on Friday defended those two. They only got elected because they're not progressives, he noted, said they have their thumb on the pulse of the average Democrat. The two moderates are refusing to sign on to Biden's massive $3.5 trillion spending bill. Progressives in the House are blocking a $1 trillion infrastructure bill as leverage. So, what's happening here? Well, the framing of this is leaning in favor of Manchin and Sinema because it's the Daily Mail, and it's the Daily Mail, and it's the Daily Mail. I'll give you a quick rundown. So basically, there's a bill, $3.5 trillion spent towards infrastructure. Cool stuff. We need it. It's good. Keep in mind, $3.5 trillion is over the next 10 years. It's actually $350 billion year per year, which is less than what we spend on our military. But anyway, very necessary, very great stuff. Very good, very great. I want more than $3.5 trillion. I want $20 trillion. Get me in. We have a problem. As you guys know, the Senate is deadlocked 50-50, 48 Democrats, 50 Republicans, and 2 Democrats, Manchin and Sinema. And Manchin and Sinema, they're just not on board with this $3.5 trillion spending bill. They're not on board with it. They're just, they're not feeling it. It's too big. It's too beefy. So what progressives are doing, they're not allowing the $1 trillion bill, which was like the compromise bill, to go through, because they're trying to hold out for the $3.5 trillion. That's politics. This is force the vote, baby. This is force the vote. It's the same logic. You hold something hostage until you get what you want. That's politics right there. No, I know it's two independents, but they always vote with the Democrats. So it's, yeah. I actually am totally okay with this leveraging here, because the $3.5 trillion is necessary, immediately necessary. It's also got a shot at being passed because we're close. We're very, very close. So holding up the $1 trillion infrastructure bill seems reasonable because it puts additional pressure on the people who are failing to give in to the demands. All that being said, right? All that good stuff. Sinema and Joe Manchin, okay? Two, being charitable here, people. I do hate them. I genuinely do. But I feel like a lot of the people on the left approach the two of them with the wrong attitudes, you know? So we should vibe check them first, right? You all remember Sinema's voting no on the $15 an hour minimum wage?
Miss Sinema.
When she strutted up there in the girl boss outfit and did the, like that thing, like the big, like, you know, the big thumbs down. Yeah. Kyrsten Sinema seems to be I don't know exactly how to parse it. It seems like she's trying to give a progressive spin to economic conservatism. She's trying to bring all that girl boss, buy girl cake, gatekeep, gas girl boss energy to hating poor people, which, okay. And Joe Manchin always feels like he's playing apologetics, you know what I mean? Like for himself, like, I would love to do this thing, you know, just, you know, always apologetics with this guy. And we do have this great clip of him. West Virginians are kayaking to Joe Manchin's yacht and demanding he explain why he's stopping the reconciliation bill from advancing.
Yes, we have a lot of West Virginians.
God bless you all.
God bless you. God bless you all. Wait, just from the loft of his yacht. God bless them.
Gang, we're working hard. We really are. We're going to continue to, in good faith. We want to get a good bill that's a balanced bill, that's well done. And I know it won't be enough for some, and it'll be too much for others. In West Virginia, you know, West Virginia's a little bit different than it used to be.
There's a lot of poverty. What are you going to do for the poor in West Virginia?
We're going to be working everything we can to create good opportunities.
And we need to tax the rich.
Well, I agree with that. I definitely agree. That's the one number thing we should be doing is fixing the tax code so everybody pays their fair share. We should be also negotiating for lower drug prices. We should be doing all these things.
They need that. Hold pharma accountable.
I agree with you 1,000%. We're all on the same page, gang. We really are.
Can we expand Medicare? Adding dental, vision, and hearing coverage to Medicare, that's a real opportunity that we can do.
Well, if we have, here, let me just explain on that one. We will get to that eventually, but right now we can't even take care of it. It's going to go broke in 2026. Let us fix and repair that
That's not true. Tax the rich.
We're taxing the rich. I agree. We're going to make the rich and the famous pay.
But how much is it? They can cover this. You can cover that. 1%. I mean 26. So when you think about it, you know, we just passed a Pentagon budget of $788 billion. No, and that over 10 years is $6 trillion, right? $6 trillion. And we're talking about
how much do you think that we spend every year on non-discretionary, basically non-defense?
not
Just
enough.
as much.
Clearly not enough.
Do you know we pay? Let me just give you all this.
But I'm just saying we can afford. If we can
I know,
afford
let me
this.
just tell you. Let me give you one little bit of information. Okay, so.
Wait, I got one little bit of information for you. The Republicans are likely to take over
That's a
the
shame,
Senate.
because if all this
We
is that
don't. This is
popular,
like
we
this
should
is
win
our
everything.
one
But you're
chance
not gonna
right
deliver
now
if
to
we don't
pass
deliver.
the
Do you think they won't
legislation.
repeal it? If we don't do it right, do you think they won't repeal it as soon as they take over? If, you're
If
a fan
you
of
don't
taking
pass
over-
this, we're gonna.
Yeah,
lose
they're not
the
going to pass things like this for the people. They're not.
Let me
This
give
is
you
our
this.
chance.
We
We can't wait.
So this looks great, you know, from the back of the yacht. Joe Manchin recently talked about how he didn't want to enable entitlement culture because the 3.5 trillion, a lot of that's going to social safety net stuff, you know, welfare and social programs. So passing the 3.5 trillion, he would be facilitating, you know, entitlement, welfare culture, that kind of stuff. Just those are the vibes with these two, you know. We've got the girl boss gatekeep gas the poor, and we've got Joe Manchin boat boy. Let's do a quick recap before I move into the next thing that I want to say, okay? So, gas the poor. Wait, that's literally Kyrsten Sinema's yacht's name. Anyway, with regards to what's going on right now, the 3.5 trillion is being that's a joke. Stop. That's the $3.5 trillion bill is being held up right now on account of Sinema and Manchin, and they have their own reasons for not wanting to vote for it. It only needs 50 votes to pass the Senate because it goes under reconciliation. It's a budgetary bill. Meanwhile, the $1 trillion infrastructure bill is currently held up in Congress on account of a progressive congressional delegation, which really, really wants that 3.5 trillion to go through. Now, this was a significant enough holdup that Biden actually visited Capitol Hill, and that doesn't happen often, to try to speak with progressives and centrists, saying that they need to work their shit out, essentially. Now, as I understand it, Joe Biden is in favor for the passage of the 3.5 trillion. though he has said we might need to compromise again. Let's just keep it going and going and going and going and going. Biden's playing a little bit of peacemaker here. At least he's not siding with the full-on, we don't need the 3.5 trillion, whatever. Okay. And we'll see how this all pans out. My personal guess, the 1 trillion infrastructure bill is pretty much guaranteed to go through because, astonishingly, it got Republican support. Seriously. It's supported by 2/3 of Americans, the 1 trillion infrastructure bill, and it was actually supported by Republicans as well. Not all of them, but enough that it would go through without too much trouble were it not for the Progressive Democratic Caucus. So, it's something. It's a little bit of something. We're probably going to see compromises on the 3.5 trillion social safety net and climate change bill. We're going to see how that pans out. I hope that Manchin and Sinema somehow change their minds, but I doubt they will. And that's what gets a lot of people talking, you know? Manchin and Sinema, shoe on head, what's your position on Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema? How do you feel about these two? In non-TOS gulag, thank you. Wasn't the play they supported the primary bill to fuck over the reconciliation? Wait, hold on. Wasn't the play they supported the primary bill to fuck over the reconciliation bill, or am I misremembering? By reconciliation, you mean the 3.5 trillion? Well, they do support the primary bill, I think. That would have gone through the House. Yeah. I mean, if that gets through the House, it'll go through the Senate, assuming that no progressives refuse to vote in it. So a lot of people, they talk about Manchin Sinema, you know? I've got some really bad news for you guys, okay? People keep talking about primarying these two. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. People keep saying, you know, we need to get a better candidate in there. I'm really sorry, guys. The states they're hailing from like their shit. Kyrsten Sinema is from Arizona, and her ratings are higher than Mark Kelly, the non-Kyrsten Sinema Democrat, you know, over there. Sinema and Joe Manchin pull pretty well with independents. As you can see, Mark Kelly's net approval among independents is +1. Sinema's is +6. I'm pretty sure Arizona has a good chunk of independents. Every state does, but I think they have a lot of weight over there. And Sinema's approval rating of 40% among Republicans is double that of Kelly's. So her net approval rating is slightly higher. I'm sorry, folks. West Virginia voted for Joe Manchin because West Virginians wanted Joe Manchin, and Arizonians voted for Kyrsten Sinema because they want a Kyrsten Sinema. Now, it is possible to oust them in favor of better candidates. That won't help her in a primary. That won't help you in the general. Maybe you can beat her in the primary, then you lose the general. Was that better? At least Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema very occasionally vote Democrat, as opposed to Republicans who essentially never do. There is a slow blue trend in I think at least possibly with both of their straights, but yeah, you can maybe beat them out in the primaries with a much more left-leaning Democrat, but those people are not going to win in the general. You understand that, right? Mark Kelly was able to win the general? Yeah. And what margins were that victory on? I don't know the specifics of Mark Kelly's electoral win back in the day. It was bigger than Sinema's? Well, right now his approval rating is lower than Sinema's. Look, I don't mean to blackpill you guys. It's not impossible that Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema could be replaced with better Democrats. However, you understand that there are risks to these things, right? If you get a better Democrat winning the primary, there's the possibility that they're just going to go ahead and lose in the general. You remember how our elections work? I'm not trying to be patronizing. It's possible that a lot of people who are watching don't. A primary is when the Democrats and the Republicans just face off against each other, and the most favored candidate within that party wins, and then the general pits them against each other. But sometimes there are open generals. Yeah, it depends. But with regards to Manchin and Sinema, I just worry because a lot of people talk about them like we can just replace them with a Justice Dem, you know? Like Justice Dems are like stamps where we can just thwack and plant them down wherever. I just don't know if it's that simple. Anyway, neither of them are even up for re-election in, 3 years? What were these margins? Wait, these are the same margins. Kyrsten Sinema won by 2.4%. Mark Kelly won by 2.4%. Wait, they both won by the exact same margin, down to a tenth of a decimal point, or a tenth of a percent. That's just kind of a wacky coincidence, don't you think? So, well, it's just interesting. Count the votes. Fraud. Stop the steal. We try to arrange my language in a way that's a little more conducive to good discourse, if at all possible. Okay, Joe Manchin won by a slightly larger margin. This would be 2.7%. Sinema receives weak approval relative to Democratic colleagues. Well, who received this polling? Is this everyone or... Oh, I see. Democrats, independents. Okay. Very few Democrats strongly approve of Kyrsten Sinema. Kyrsten Sinema has very low overall support. I guess it would really depend on what other candidates could be fielded there. Manchin has family ties going back decades out there in West Virginia. Well, it's all old money out there in the East Coast, you know? Can't get over this. Oh, this was when Joe Biden visited Capitol Hill. Just in, Kyrsten Sinema has left D.C. mid-negotiations. Her spokesman said it's for a doctor's appointment for a foot's injury, but a hotel just confirmed she'll be at her PAX retreat with donors for cocktails and dinner at the high-end resort and spa in Phoenix. Girl, queen, gas boss, gate light. Very true. Yeah, it's mostly Republicans who support Kyrsten Sinema. I suppose, I mean, she has tepid support a lot over independents. It really just depends on where you can draw this blue line. I don't know. We'll really have to see. Let's reframe this slightly, okay? So, it is possible that they could have better Democrats put in their place, okay? However, I think the broader strategy here, it needs to be a little bit more considered, okay? So, the House should always go blue unless the Democratic Party fucks up massively, because more people vote blue than people vote red, right? I know there's still gerrymandering and a lot of other stuff like that and voter suppression, but as a general rule, I feel like Democrats should have a fairly strong hold in the House consistently. Not all the time, but at least most of the time. With the Senate, this is not the case, because the Senate is a stupid and fucked up institution, which, guys, why the fuck do we have non-proportional state representation gatekeeping all legislation through our legislator? Literally, why? Why? It doesn't do it. The Senate's stupid. I'm sorry. The Senate is dumb. It's just dumb. I'm sorry. It's just stupid. Fuck the Senate. I don't care. What, so fucking Wyoming and New York get the same say in this? Why? Why do states, that in the Electoral College, they do not work and they do not do what they're supposed to. They are centuries-old traditions that are maintained at this point only because Republicans benefit from them. The Electoral College was meant to incentivize presidents to pay attention to all the states, not just the most populous ones. And what happens now? The Electoral College means presidents will only do tours in battleground states and ignore tens of millions of their own voters and oppositional voters in larger states. And the Electoral College means that if you are a Republican in California or a Democrat in, I don't know, Texas, until Texas goes blue, your vote is nothing. Meaningless. It disenfranchises tens of millions of Americans. It doesn't do what it's supposed to. It handicaps things in favor of rural areas. And sorry, maybe this is classist of me, but I do not think functioning democracy should handicap votes in favor of the demographically least educated people in the whole country. I'm sorry. Pardon me for my triggering belief, but I do believe that. It's ridiculous. Seriously, like, that's the group you're going to skew things in favor of? The group which has everything wrong with them in terms of, like, social and educational attainment? The group that's been left behind by broader America and is denied access to all the institutions they're voting on? Why the fuck should they have any say on shit that's going on? They don't even know what half the institutions they're voting on are. Internet? No, I'm kidding. Rural America isn't that cut off from the rest of the world. But in all seriousness, like, it is a little bit weird, right? What produces American culture? Our cities. What produces American media? Our cities. Where do politicians live? In cities. Where do most people live? In cities. Where is stuff built? In cities. Where do companies exist? In cities. Where does this and that and that? Everything in cities. So who gets the highest proportional weight to their vote? Wyomingans. Oh, okay. Wyomingites. Do senators even vote in favor of their states? No, they don't. They align with party blocks. That's literally it. Democrats vote with the Democrat Party, and Republicans vote with the Republican Party. Republican senators do not give a fuck about their state, and Democratic senators do not give a fuck about their state. They are national political figures. Their words, their edicts, their opinions affect the nation. They are not representatives from their state. These are failed experiments. These don't work. The Senate and the Electoral College don't work. And the only reason they still exist is because they benefit Republicans. Guys, if the Senate and the Electoral College still existed, but somehow it was changed so that it benefited Democrats, the Republicans would have already gotten rid of them. Or if they hadn't, they would make it the defining issue of every single election season. They would scream from the rooftops about how Democrats are handicapping themselves, or they're like getting a handicap like a favor. They're cheating. They would, guys, all the energy that went into the big lie with Trump, imagine that going into them talking about how much a Texan's vote weighs compared to a Wyomingite's. Fucking fathom it. Imagine Tucker Carlson on there. Now, answer me this. In what democracy can a vote count for 4 times the worth of a vote from another person just because of the state you live in? Interesting. It would be 24/7, dude. And by the way, they would have succeeded. Okay? They would have succeeded. It'll already be gone. It's only because Democrats are weak and cowardly that they haven't done this. A permanent fucking handicap in favor of the goddamn red states. Fuck me. Anyway, God, we're out in the weeds. The point that I was trying to get at is that if you want to fix the problems with the Senate, you need to do it at a much broader institutional level. Either you get rid of the Senate, you reform the Senate, those two things aren't likely to happen, by the way, or we take the most likely route. The most likely route is trying to move states blue. It fucking sucks, but unfortunately, moving over voters is the most effective way at clearing the stopgap with the Senate. Okay? That's the cleanest and easiest way forward. That's the best we're going to be able to do. And to that mind, we should think not about Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema on their own, but rather we should think about how can we cajole independents in these purple states into voting for blue senators. How many purple Senate seats are there anyway? How many? I don't actually know. I'm actually asking. What would it be? Like Wisconsin has one? Yeah, let's see. It depends on the thresholds we're talking about. Purple Senate seats. The 10 Senate seats most likely to flip in 2022. Well, sure. Pennsylvania incumbent Republican Pat Toomey. I need polling numbers. That same year, Toomey won re-election by less than 2 points, defeating a Democratic nominee who attracted big-time endorsements but wasn't the strongest campaigner. Okay, so this guy is a Republican, and his last win was by less than 2 points, and now he's retiring. So if he was the incumbent, and he still won by less than 2 points, hello, Democrat Raphael Warnock. Hopefully they don't get yeeted. That'd be nice. Ron Johnson over here. You know? Johnson dashed former Democratic Senator Russ Feingold's hope for a comeback, beating him by about 3 points in a race many observers had prematurely written off as a Democratic pickup. Maybe a little, could be, maybe, possibly. Here are the 538 listings. Pretty soon, 2022 is going to roll around and we're going to be getting right back into this, folks. My jam. Looking at numbers and complaining loudly about them. You know it. We don't have that much polling yet because we're still more than a year out from the election, but we're getting there. Hey, you guys remember numbers? Sports for nerds? True! Yeah, there's not enough here to really talk about just yet. Fetterman and Parnell, looking pretty close here. I don't know. We need high turnout, folks. We need very high turnout, okay? In 2022, we need to take advantage of something, okay? We need to take advantage of 2 things. First of all, the fact that a lot of Republicans probably think that every time they vote, IP address is sent over to Fidel Castro in China. And also, all their votes will turn into Biden votes anyway. That's one thing we can exploit. That they were lied to. And 2, desperation. We cannot let the Senate or the House go red. We need a high midterm turnout. And if we do that, we can win. A good read on Sinema / Manchin. Manchin's probably a necessary evil. Sinema isn't. I will say that between Manchin and Sinema, Sinema does strike me as the one of the two who's like evil, you know? Joe Manchin just comes off to me as like big old money, like centrist kind of guy who just slightly leans Dem, you know? Kyrsten Sinema seems actively and aggressively borderline traitorous with her advocacy for conservative politics, her dismissal of people's concerns. Yeah, she seems... Could you fix her, Vosh? If you're asking if I want to fuck her, the answer is no. I don't know if that's a euphemism, but keeping the House in 2022 is almost mathematically impossible, I'm sorry to say. I haven't heard that it's mathematically impossible. I've heard that things aren't looking the best. Do we have a current House of Representatives map? Blue margins were pretty slim last time, as I recall. We ought to be winning here. We have more people. Is there evidence that Republicans have a higher proportional voting turnout? If I'm in Florida, is voting at 22 even worth it? Yes. The answer is always yes. Don't even fucking ask me that question. I'm not dealing with whatever the post-2020 equivalent of Bernie or Busters are. Even if you were the only Democrat in your entire state, vote. Vote and then stand outside. Make sure that you're at least 100 feet away from the polling booth or whatever the legal limit is in your state, holding up a sign advocating for your candidate, okay? Impeach this. We did, twice. So Democrats, 220 to 200... Sorry, not 2020. 220 to 212. Jesus Christ. These, by the way, these are who are deciding who gets voted in, by the way. You know how many people live in Montana? 5. Here are the votes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they voted Doug in. Doug was one of the 5, and they voted him in. They don't even have any cities big enough for blue pockets. It's ridiculous. Jesus Christ. Like, at least over here, like, at least you have, like, blue pockets. I mean, over in fucking Georgia and Virginia and Michigan. I mean, you can clearly see where the cities are. Texas, you can clearly see where the cities are. But the Dakotas, Montana, me clearly flexing that I know where these states are, thank you. Wyoming, Idaho, just blocks of red. Higher turnout is consistent among Republicans in midterm elections. So that's true, right? I'm not wrong in believing that. Who turns out in midterm elections? Midterm elections generally have lower turnout than presidential elections, which makes sense. United States midterm election. Well, can I find it by party? Hold on. Trying to see if I can, a demographic profile of the 2018 midterms. Let's see. Total voter turnout was 49%. God damn it. Somebody provide me the info if you can find it. Why is turnout so low for Democrats and so high for Republicans? Because I'm trying to establish that. Yeah, 2018 was the first vote against Trump. These states were all red because they only have one House seat. Yeah, I know, but that's what I mean about, like, the cities and population and stuff. If you had a big city, you wouldn't be able to have just one House seat, right? Look at this. There's one district in these 4 states. Or one district per state in these 4 states. How wild is that, right? I mean, one district. Oh, what are you? Oh, I'm Montana 1. I'm the Montana 1 House. And you know what? Even though California gets 50 fucking trillion Congress people, and Montana gets 1, they both get the same number of senators. Cringe. Montana is getting 2 seats in 2 districts in redistricting. Nice! They'll probably both go red. Look at this by population and not by land. I don't know why you're talking to me in this chat like we don't know this, but yes. Population maps tell a much different story. You can see where the big bubbles are. Every big blue bubble is like a city. So you're saying the Senate should be abolished? I think we should have a negative Senate, okay? I think we should have 100 people, and their job is just to sit there and do nothing. Rather than representing the states, they actually represent... So the Senate, well, they do something. They block. They act as an obstacle. 2020 races decided by less than 10%. Less than 10%? Dude, who overcomes a 10% margin from one election to the next? You kidding me? I guess it might happen sometimes. That's a rough one, though. Okay, I'm looking at the 2014 U.S. election. Can I get Republican versus Democratic turnout? Our best tool for predicting midterm elections doesn't show a Republican wave, but history is on the GOP's side. Yeah. We don't need any doomer fuel right now. Thank you very much. It's under turnout? Under turnout? Okay. So, this was for the 2014... Okay, where's the party turnout? I don't see party turnout. These are the states. No, this doesn't have party turnout. It just has turnout by state. I want party turnout. Margin of victory in the House. Let's see. Holy shit. Don Young has been a representative since 1973. Time to update your name, bucko, to Don Old. All right, let's look for the House margin of victory. Let's go. Wow, that's a lot to cite. Okay, let's find out. What can we flip? So I'm assuming that these margins for victory were decided against the opposite party, right? Not like, oh, they only won by 0.8% against the other Republican. Who's close? Well, Mike Garcia apparently won by 0.0% margins, and the presidential victory for that state was 10.1 in favor of Biden. So, what's up with Mike Garcia, huh? We in California? Yeah, we're in California. Of course we're in fucking California. Mike, let's make you a one-term guy. Let's make you a one-term dude. Oh, worked for defense contractor Raytheon. Jesus Christ, like evil people are made in a factory. There we go. Hold on. 2020, California's 25th Congressional District special election. Well, here it says he won by like 10%. This is the special election, not the general. Well, then where's the narrowly defeated Smith in a rematch? Okay, then give me the actual goddamn election here, not the special. I'm only getting a Ballotpedia result for it. Click on the arrow. What's an arrow? Don't be stupid. Where? What do I click on? Where? What? This? There we go. We made it. Okay, here it says 0.2%, but holy fuck! Guys, look! Less than 400 votes decided this. I can't wait to canvass in 2022, dude. Holy shit. We could make more of a difference than that. Jesus. There are probably 400 Vosh viewers in that district. Maybe. We could do the math on whether or not that's true, based on relative proportions and total, like, support in the U.S. Eastern Ventura County. Oh, I don't want any fans from there. Never mind. Yeah, send in the Vosh voter buses. Thank you. We got that. David Volodau, who's over here. Can I say bussin'? I still don't know what that is. Bussin' it up in the 21st district, so we can just scroll up to find that. Yeah, they won by 1%, which is, look, about 1,500 votes right here. This is doable, folks. I mean, with just a little bit better turnout. Jesus. Marionette Miller Meeks with the 0.1%. But for every vulnerability on their side, we've got some on our sides, too. Here's another 0.0%. Claudia Tenney from New York. New York. Zeldin is my guy. This one, Lee Zeldin. Ha! Jesus, won by a 10% margin? Where the fuck do you live? This vote ended up getting so close it had to be certified by a judge. Jesus. 109 votes? That was the last congressional race to be decided. 109! Dude, if Democrats had just turned out a tiny bit more. Just a little bit more. You can canvass that difference? I could single-handedly canvass that difference. I could throw rocks at windows with "Please vote blue" taped on it. What are we even doing right now? Okay, I don't know what we're doing or why we're doing it, but we have to end this. Oh yeah, we probably can't get rid of Joe Manchin. Kyrsten Sinema maybe, because Kyrsten Sinema is so evidently and abjectly abhorrent. Clearly a undesirable person. Just not good, folks. Not good. Not good at all. Maybe we can get her out. But any Democrat who could successfully replace Kyrsten Sinema would not be a Justice Dem. They would be a probably fairly moderate Democrat. So trying to run a justice stem in those regions. It's not going to work out. So I guess what I'm trying to get at here is Bill Maher is dumb, conservatism is dumb, Joe Manchin is dumb, Kyrsten Sinema is super dumb, the Senate is dumb, not turning out to vote is dumb, the Electoral College is dumb. Yes. I've finally found it, guys. I've finally found the most acceptable way to harass women in a bathroom.
Okay, I'll be back.
Sit we want to talk to you real quick. Can we talk to you real quick?
Hi, actually, I am heading out.
Right now is a real moment that our people need in order for us to be able to talk about what's really happening. We need a Build Back Better plan right now.
We knocked on doors. We need solutions. The Build Back Better plan has the solutions that we need.
They are following Kyrsten Sinema, cringe lord from Arizona, you know. They are following her, accusing her of being a shitter.
We knocked on doors.
They shouldn't have followed her in the bathroom. Sure, they should have. I don't give a fuck. Even Biden basically said he didn't give a fuck. Like, Biden literally said.
Mr. President, you're talking about how you have 48 Democratic votes right now. The other two have been pressured over the weekend by activists. Joe Manchin had people on kayaks show up to his boat to yell at him. Senator Sinema last night was chased into a restroom. Do you think that those tactics are crossing a line?
I don't think they're appropriate tactics, but it happens to everybody. From the only people it doesn't happen to are people who have Secret Service standing around them. It's part of the process. Yes, sir.
Goddamn right, Chad Biden. Folks, if you take a look at organizations in Arizona responding to Kyrsten Sinema being followed into the bathroom, you know what you're going to see? There are literally dozens of them saying that Kyrsten Sinema does not listen to anyone who doesn't donate to her. Kyrsten Sinema just goes to soirees and high-profile lunches with the corporations that donate to her. She just goes in bed with pharmaceutical companies and, goes to Chuck E. Cheese with them. They rent out the whole building. That's all she does, She does not listen to her constituents. So if you're not going to listen to your constituents, they're going to follow you. I don't give a fuck about this. I'm sorry, guys. In terms of, the superseding hierarchies of, consideration, Kyrsten Sinema is a ghoul, okay? A fucking phantom, a specter in Washington. And being followed into a bathroom, the harm that this does is incomparable compared to the harm that she does with her shenanigans. I do not care. I do not care. Look, you know what? They didn't follow her into the stall. That's, there we go. Look at how considerate they are. They didn't follow into the stall. That's the level of decorum they're adhering to. But look at how close they're getting. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. This person's getting a goddamn up close of the pores on the back of their neck. Look at this. That's not social distancing. Jesus Christ. People keep more distance at orgies than that. Anyway.
Better plan has the solutions that we need.
How is this different from MTG harassing AOC a while back? Easy. MTG is bad. These student activists are good. That's the difference. There's nothing wrong with harassing elected representatives. There's nothing wrong with it. If you're doing it for a good cause, that's the difference. MTG isn't a constituent of AOC. I don't even care about that. They're elected representatives. Guys, these are the most powerful people in the country. You realize that, right? A U.S. senator, their name will be in history books until the end of the Republic. They are unfathomably strong. They operate in the highest echelons of society. They have people in their phone book who you could never see. They have people in their phone book who don't even get seen in public without a bodyguard retinue around them, okay? I do not care about student activists standing outside of her stall telling her that she's bad, okay? I do not care. I will never care. Biden doesn't care, and I don't care.
We knocked on doors for you to get you elected, and just how we got you elected, we can get you out of office if you don't support what you promised us.
We need 7 million citizenship for 7 million. We need the Build Back Better plan right now.
My name is Blanca. I was brought here to the United States when I was 3 years old. And And in 2010, my grandparents both got deported because of SB 1070. And I'm here because I definitely believe that we need a pathway to citizenship. My grandfather...
Chad move on the students, by the way. Gotta say, I don't know if I'd be willing to go into a women's restroom and shout at people through a door, you know? Especially with other people there, you know? That woman just came out of the stall. She does not want to be here right now. She wants to skedaddle out.
Passed away 2 weeks ago, and I was not able to go to Mexico and visit him because there is no pathway to citizenship. And if we have the opportunity to pass it right now, then we need to do it, because there's millions of undocumented people just like me who share the same story or even worse things that happen to them because of SB 1070 and because of anti-immigrant legislation. And this is the opportunity to pass it right now, and we need to hold you accountable to what you told us, what you promised us that you were going to pass when we knocked on doors for you.
So keep in mind that Kyrsten Sinema isn't just some regular, like, moderate type, you know? We talked about this a little bit the other day, but there's a big difference between Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Joe Manchin always was what he seems to be, which is like a big money moderate centrist who is proportionally more favored by Republicans because he's that, you know? Kyrsten Sinema lied. She lied about being a progressive. She campaigned on it. She had years of precedent advocating for progressive issues. And the moment she got into power, she dropped all of that shit and has turned into one of the most performative ghouls. This is what you have to do to get noticed by Kyrsten Sinema, okay? This is what you need, all right? If you have $750,000 to spend to donate, then you get to go to a brunch with her and talk about your issues, okay? She is essentially a grifter, but there's a pretty big difference between grifting your way into a YouTube channel and grifting your way into the fucking United States Senate. That's a whole other issue right there. We've got a big problem in our hands. Sinema's favorability is plummeting with Democrats. She is despised by Democrats in her state because the people who campaigned for her, like these students are saying, were lied to. They campaigned for her based on a specific set of policies and beliefs that she allegedly had that she just dropped. So I don't give a fuck if they harass her in the bathroom. Why would I care? Fuck her. Jesus. God. Also, Manchin is from a heavily Republican state, whereas Arizona is turning more blue over time, so Sinema doesn't have to be a centrist. No, it seems like Kyrsten Sinema, her moderate behavior, her centrism, is not justified by the demographics of her constituency. I think she just hates you. I'm going to be real with you. I think she just hates all life. I think she just hates the people beneath her. What would motivate her besides contempt? You remember her, right? Voting down a $15 an hour minimum wage with that little... Remember? Why? And you've seen the shit that she likes on Instagram and Twitter, too? It's wine mom shit. She plays this, like, bisexual girl boss, but she is aggressively and performatively reactionary in many ways. It is not just... she was more moderate than we thought. There is a deliberate public effort to betray her constituency here. And in a functioning democracy, that kind of shit has to be punished. And if poopy time shoutdowns are the punishment you're getting...
it's not right.
I'm a survivor of human trafficking, and it's because of the lack of worker protections that we don't have in the gig economy. I need you to stand by workers. Lots of people who are like me who became homeless
and of course, this has spawned some outrage. She didn't... well, she was probably peeing. Yeah, you know, I imagine she was peeing, you know. Yeah, the boys in chat won't know this, but, you know, oftentimes in women's restrooms, since they don't have a urinal, they'll go in the stall and close the door, even if they don't need to poop, you know? They don't actually just sort of squat and pee in a corner, which... you know, free country and all, but they don't. Do you think she'll keep her seat? I don't know. And let's not ruin what is otherwise a good 2-minute hate with, you know, half-assed political speculation. Stephen Miller, sorry, actually came out and defended Sinema here. An illegal alien. Remember, Miller was one of the policy shapers for Donald Trump's immigration policy, and he is an explicit white nationalist. An illegal alien is stalking a U.S. senator to demand passage of Biden's reconciliation bill because it includes mass amnesty for illegals. In a functioning democracy, ICE would swiftly deport this person, but under Biden's new edict, she's immune from removal. Now, I think the language here is interesting. Real good reason, too. Now, Stephen Miller, it's pronounced Stephen Miller, thank you. This is a pretty far-right guy. This guy is, you know, this ain't no rhino, all right? He's committed to the Volk, if you know what I'm talking about. And do you think Stephen here would, do you think he would normally play defense for a Democrat senator? Even if that senator was being harassed by a child of an immigrant? I'm going to say probably not, no. The tweet here comes off as kind of implicitly supportive of Sinema. And hey, Sinema has pretty decent favorability ratings among Republicans. Do you think she's going to switch to the Reds? I mean, maybe. Maybe. But unlikely. I think that in many ways, Kyrsten Sinema actually is the archetypical wine mom in the most negative sense. A person who think themselves extremely progressive, who is narcissistic and performative, who thinks the world is constantly out to get her and doesn't understand the relationship between the horrible shit that she does and the condemnation she receives from others. I think that all of her behavior, the funny thing is, like, it doesn't even strike me as the kind of, like, very deliberate political machinations that you see with a lot of the sociopaths in Congress. It comes off to me as, like, legitimate personality defect. You know what I mean? You all know people like that a little bit, don't you? People who are unrepentantly, unapologetically terrible to those around them, but constantly act like they're the victim and have an aloof, above-it-all stance because they feel like nobody else has the right to criticize them. We call them Karens sometimes, but it's not a gendered phenomena. Though Kyrsten Sinema does gender herself heavily in that respect with all the fucking wine mom shit she likes on Instagram. Sinema is like the family from Get Out. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Fuck Kyrsten Sinema. I don't care if she's unhappy, and I hope she gets harassed every moment of her life. Within the bounds of the law, obviously. I would never, ever, 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 ever advocate for anyone to harass her outside the bounds of the law, even though she's one of the most powerful people in the country, and she uses that power explicitly to lie to her constituents and block progressive agendas. Don't ever break the law. I am worried about human-animal hybrids taking our jobs and overrunning our neighborhoods. They'll need to show us their papers. True.